Good evening, my friends. Welcome to the Chris Salcedo Show here on Newsmax TV. The humanitarian crisis and the credibility of the United States government as it pertains to the rule of law hang in the balance at the U.S. border. But when threats to America escalate, we can always count on Democrat socialists to be elsewhere. Instead of being on the border, where the emergency is, Joe Biden has taken a victory lap around our country. Now, what's he celebrating, you might ask? Well, he is overjoyed, as is the biased press, that they snookered the American people on the $2 trillion bill that they laughingly called a China virus bill, but it was actually a poorly run liberal state bailout bill. While Americans suffer, Biden and his socialists are celebrating. Biden's betrayal of America. We're sounding the alarm in tonight's preamble. Today on the Chris Salcedo Show on radio, we informed our audience that socialists are transporting illegal aliens north from the border. Mayor Chris Riggs runs the small Arizona town of Gila Bend. He told Fox News that the Border Patrol informed him that his little town would have to accept a whole bunch of illegal aliens. Riggs says, quote, "We can barely afford to take care of the people that we have here and our community now." And as of this second, the Border Patrol advised us that we're going to drop people off here and do sort of like, well, they're your problem. That's what Biden and his socialists are doing to all of America. You didn't ask for illegal immigration, but Biden is making sure you'll pay for it in more ways than one. Biden, like President Obama before him, is making sure illegal aliens are transported all over these United States so your tax dollars can fund their every need. In Texas, Joe Biden is relocating 3,000 illegal alien teens to the Kay Bailey Hutchison Center. Dallas is a sanctuary city, so they're happy to dedicate U.S. citizens' resources to illegal foreign nationals. Joe Biden dispatched FEMA, the Federal Emergency Management Agency, to help make sure illegal aliens are ushered into America and that they're fed, clothed, and given transportation. But Biden had a different reaction when Americans were hammered by a natural disaster, not one of his making. After Texas got walloped by the Valentine's Day winter storm, Biden only approved disaster declarations for 30% of Texas. Many observed that the aid was granted primarily to blue counties in the state. In other words, only folks who voted for him. The callousness of Mr. Biden and all of those degenerates who do his bidding did not go unnoticed by the people of Texas.
But I have a question.
Sure.
Many of us were subjected to the winter storm and suffered losses in our homes, displaced. And yes, a declaration was declared. And contact FEMA, see what help you can get. Hundreds of us were denied. Tax-paying Americans denied from our own government and country for help. Yet these people coming over, FEMA's running to their rescue to hand out health care, food, shelter. And what about us, citizens? And to make it even worse, we're going to have to pay for that.
Yeah, you are going to have to pay for that. These actions are consistent with Biden's political party and their values. They are the foreigners first party. Biden and his merry band of Marxist-Leninists want all of you to know there is no amount of money he will confiscate from you to give to citizens of other countries. Just the other day, it was announced that Biden, or whoever is pulling his strings, seeking to undertake the biggest tax increases in more than 30 years. In truth, Obama did raise our taxes immensely, but he didn't call it a tax. He disguised it as Obamacare. And more money has been flowing out of Americans' pockets ever since. But now, the Democrats, minus a competent opposition party, are not even bothering to cloak their dark designs to redistribute wealth in an effort to punish hardworking Americans. About the largely disorganized and ineffectual Republican Party. You all may recall that when the GOP took over the House in 2010, the Senate in 2012, and the White House in 2016, every time the GOP achieved victory, they were consumed with not angering their Democrat friends. The GOP obsessed on making sure the rights of the minority were preserved. They told us all with a straight face that the Democrats would remember this the next time they were in power. And so they have. The Democrats are laughing at the dilapidated GOP. And now the socialists want to make sure that Republicans will always be in the minority, regardless of how many votes they get. One of the ways liberals are going to accomplish this is to get rid of something we call the filibuster. This ensures that anti-American legislation can be imposed on our country using only the Democrats' slim majority.
Today's filibuster has turned the world's most deliberative body into one of the world's most ineffectual bodies. Today's filibuster is often used to prevent the Senate from even starting to debate important ideas. It's not the guarantor of democracy. It has become the death grip of democracy.
Over the last 2 decades, the GOP kept the Democrats, socialists in the game. And the Democrats always make you and me pay for the GOP's screw-ups. And that brings us full circle to where we started our conversation, the fake China virus bill. Democrats used the same arcane procedure they used to cram Obamacare down our throats, reconciliation, to pass that $2 trillion liberal wish list bill. But they promised the gullible GOP that they would do an infrastructure bill that would include minority input. But that's what they said in front of the cameras. Here's what they're really doing.
But ultimately, it's going to be put together similar to how the rescue plan was put together. It's got to be at the end of the day. And most likely have these reconciliations.
The GOP, eager to be friends with the socialists, are always duped into trusting leftists, the very same people that history shows should never be trusted. John McCain excelled at betraying conservatives to deliver for Democrats. It got him fawning press coverage. Since then, guys like Mitt Romney, Ben Sasse, Pat Toomey, Mitch McConnell, and countless others have worked very hard to ingratiate themselves to socialists instead of opposing them. These same Republicans always act shocked, I tell you, when the Democrats do what they always do, stab their fellow countrymen in the back in an effort to ultimately deliver for America's enemies. Don't blame the socialist Democrats. They're doing what all snakes do. Blame the GOP for not recognizing the threat these socialists pose. Blame the GOP for being the slowest learners in God's creation. Even after Democrats in and out of Congress called Bush and Trump illegitimate presidents, the GOP still didn't recognize who these Democrats are. The GOP's ignorance may cost all of us dearly. For now, we conservatives recognize who the enemy is. A president, regardless of party, is supposed to work on behalf of all Americans. Biden, by any measure, isn't doing that. He and his party have prioritized foreign nationals over the best interests of the American people. It's just the latest example of how Biden and his party have betrayed America. And don't worry, if the GOP missed this time, there's plenty more where that came from.
Hey, I'm Rob Finnerty. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please join the conversation in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe, too. Hit the bell icon to be alerted to breaking news. And remember, there's a whole lot more on Newsmax TV, America's fastest growing cable news network. Newsmax TV, where real news for real people.